Welcome back. Okay, so I promised I was going to reveal my my new commander deck that I play competitions with, my tournament deck. This is a 1v1 deck. Still tweaking it out, still playing with it. Works really well. I'm going to go ahead and address the big old elephant in the room. There are 3 proxies in the deck. One of them because I refuse to play with the card in my deck, and the other 2 because I have to buy them on Monday. They are Harsh Mentor, because I don't own one. I know it's amazing. And Blasphemous Act, which I am totally blown away about. I think I actually probably either sold my copies when they were more expensive. More likely, yeah, I sold them. The other one I don't play with, that I'm not going to play with, is Jeweled Lotus. Yeah, I'm not putting a $60 card in a deck. So if I go to the competition and I show them this and show them this, and they say no to this, then I'm going to have issues with them because that's uncalled for. But yeah, anyways. So yeah, Jeweled Lotus, because I do have the card. Harsh Mentor and Blasphemous Act. Let's just go ahead and move those this way. Okay, so my commander is Tolbran. Thrain the Red Fell. 1 and 3 red. Legendary creature, Dwarf Noble. Says if a red source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage plus 2 instead. He's a 2/4, so he's got a pretty big butt to defend himself with. The whole goal of this is to burn fast and burn quick. Get spells in your hand fast and basically just burn your opponent to death as fast as possible. Get him out and do twice as much damage. A couple of cards I wish I had, besides those 2. A couple of other extra cards I wish I had were a couple of extra circles. I don't own a couple of circles, and I'm not going to buy them. I think they were $10 a piece. And I don't have the good wheels, so I'm working around the wheels that I don't have. So with that said, let me go through the mana base real quick. I only have 5 of the tap lands. 2 of them are, what are they called? Cycling. Got to have the cycles. That would be those 2. And then, of course, the other 3, they tap to come in as red. They do something special. When they come in, this one gives a 1/1 against first strike until end of turn. This one you can sacrifice and destroy a target land. And this one gives a creature +2 until end of turn, +2/+0 until end of turn. Normally don't like them on my first hand, but if I have to play with them there, then I can kind of get away with it. Because I'll just put them first, in play first. The whole purpose of the cycle lands is because if you get them mid game or late game, you can go ahead and cycle them away. Then I have non-color or specific, like this one, Castle Embereth. It is a tap if you don't control a mountain. So hopefully you have a mountain in play. Anyways, and then of course I got these command tower gives me red. Field of Ruin, so I can destroy one of their lands if I really have to. Not allowed to use a few cards in this form of commander that I'm playing. You cannot have Soul Ring. You cannot have Strip Mine. You can't have these big heavy ones. I know it's amazing they're letting me use the Jeweled Lotus, but it's not on the ban list, so I'm going to use it. Command Beacon, primarily because if I want to be able to bring him to my hand if he gets too expensive, because once you get to your 3rd game, they've pretty much realized that it's Tolbran that's doing all the damage, so you want to be able to pull them to your hand as many times as you can. And that's going to be pretty much the only way I can do it. Ranib Ruins, because it does extra damage, and it is a red card. Well, it's not a red card, it's a land, it just produces red. But it gives you 2 damage to each opponent, so it's not bad. Ghost Quarters, another way of destroying a card. If you really have to, destroy one of the target lands. Mobilize District, if you really have to have a 3/3 citizen creature token into play for defense or even offense. Temple of the False God, because it gives you 2 if you have 5 lands. So if you have 5 or more lands, it gives you 2, which just, hey, it's good. And then, of course, Seagate Wreckage. This is the reason why there's so many of these in play, not including this one. Yeah, and that one. All the rest of these actually give you a colorless mana, specifically colorless. And this one requires a colorless for its second ability. Draw a card. Activate this ability only if you have no cards in hand. And you really, with red burn decks, with fast burn, big red, you run out of cards fast. I've ran out of cards on turn 3, and it does not feel good to be top decking the entire game. So if you're able to wheel, it's awesome. If you can't wheel, at least give yourself a few ways of drawing cards, and that's what I've done there. Then the rest of it, land source is just a bunch of mountains. Look at all the mountains. Now when I go, I'm going to actually change these all, because these are all different lands. I'm going to change them all to the same land. It's a competition trick you do. When you have lands like this and you look at someone else's hand, most people who play Friday Night Magic don't realize this, but I'm looking at your hand. Oh, I'm going to remember that mountain that you had, by a specific artist, or just the type of art it was. And then when you play a different land in play, because I can't see your hand now, I looked at you, I duressed you, I digest you, or whatever. I looked at your hand, and I see that you play a different mountain. That means you just drew that one. That means you still have that one mountain. No matter how you play the game, I know what you got in your hand by at least one card. But if you have all the same land, and I don't know if you actually drew that mountain or that drew that, swamp, because all your lands look exactly the same. So I don't know if you just drew an extra land or you're putting the land that I know you had into play. So it's just a little trick I've learned. Little nugget of knowledge helping people out. Let me get these out of the way. We'll start over here on the far side with Planeswalkers. Now, the Planeswalkers, I only got 4 in here, and they all do damage of some form or another, or help me to do damage of some form or another. Tybalt, Rakish, Instigator. 2 in a red. Your opponents can't gain life, which is great. And then a -2, created 1/1 red devil creature token with, when this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. I like this because if for some reason somebody clears the board on their turn, it's your turn, you can at least put a Tybalt into play. I'm sorry, a devil into play, which will help protect him from something else. The whole point is to have your opponents can't gain life. So if they're playing a white deck that's gaining life a lot, at least this is making sure that they can't. And if they attack, you have a devil that's going to at least help you to kill, at least, maybe not kill the creature, but maybe kill the creature. At the same time, still do damage to your opponent. So that's the whole purpose of that one. Chandra, Acolyte of Flame. 1 and 2 red. I love this card. 4 loyalty. Put a loyalty counter on each red planeswalker you control. All my planeswalkers are red. Just works out great. -0. Second 0 is create 2 1/1 red elemental creature tokens. They gain haste. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. I like this one. The only downside is when it becomes your opponent's turn, you don't have those elemental creatures there to block. But it really helps for offense. So you're able to attack, but not defend. Okay, but -2, which is really cool because you can do it on its as soon as you have it out. It says you may cast target instant or sorcery card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard. If that card would be put into your graveyard this turn, exile instead. So if you have a lightning bolt in your graveyard, you can shoot that creature again. So it's just, that's just a great utility. Chandra, Fire Artisan, 2 and 2 red. This one has the static ability of whenever 1 or more loyalty counters are removed from Chandra, Fire Artisan, she deals that much damage to target opponent or planeswalker. I wish it would have just said from a Chandra planeswalker, because then with this, the 3 that I have in play, if I had any of them in play and I negatived this one, someone would get 2 points of damage. That would have been awesome, but it doesn't, so I can't use it. +1, exile top card of your library. You may play it this turn. That's great. Always do that before you put your land in play, because it's nothing like, +1ing or pulling a top card and it's a land and you've already put a land in play and now you can't play it. So now it's just going to go into your graveyard. So kind of sucks. Well, it's just going to be exiled. Then -7 says exile top 7 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. I've gotten this off once and it was beautiful because I was able to put 6 out of 7 of the cards directly into play or use. So that was a great turn for me. And believe it or not, she helped me get there faster because of putting a red a counter on her. Then, of course, you have Chandra, Torch of Defiance, 2 and 2 red. This is my favorite Chandra. Exile top card of your library. You may cast that card. If you don't, Chandra, Torch of Defiance deals 2 damage to each opponent. That's for the first +1. Second +1 is add 2 red to your mana pool. Awesome. Why would you not want more mana? A -3, which you can do on the first turn, says Chandra, Torch of Defiance deals 4 damage to target creature. So if they have a creature out that you really got to kill, this helps you do it. I mean, it's only 4 points of damage, but you're red. You have other ways of helping it out. -7, you get an emblem with whenever you cast a spell, this emblem deals 5 damage to target creature or player. Now that's awesome, and I've maxed her out a couple of times. And I don't care if I get just one emblem. If I get her up to -7 counters, that turn I'm dropping her. I mean, I'm taking her out. I'm going to go ahead and, ultimate her. She'll go into the graveyard. I got it 5 points every time. So, and with Tolbran out, it's 7 points every time. So it really works out. Creatures. Got a lot of creatures in here. A lot. I think it was 30. I don't remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's 31. 31 including him. In some ways, I kind of feel like I have too many creatures, but they all kind of help out except for a couple of them. You'll see those in a second. Scorch Spitter comes out turn 1. When it attacks, deals 1 damage to a player planeswalker it's attacking, so it's hitting for 2. Fanatical Firebrand. Cost 1. Has haste. You can sacrifice it and deal 1 damage to a target creature or player. Or turn 1, you get it out, you can just keep attacking. Just attack. I like attacking. I love to attack. Insolent Neonate. This one is my favorite, even though it doesn't really follow the theme of the song, theme of the deck. This one lets me get a card. So, yeah, maybe I have attacked with it. Maybe it's just sitting into play. Maybe I'm going to actually use the Skull Clamp on it or something like that. But if I need a card, I'm able to get another card. And card advantage is a big thing when it comes to 1v1. The one that draws more cards has more choices. Fervent Champion costs 1. It's great. It's a 1/1. Has first strike and haste. This first part ability really doesn't matter. It says whenever Fervent Champion attacks, another target attacking knight you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. As far as I know, I don't have any knights in here. I mean, pirate, a goblin, a lizard, an elemental, a vampire. But I don't think I have any other knights in here. The second ability, equip abilities you activate that target Fervent Champion costs 3 less to activate. Yeah, I got nothing I'm not equipping anything to, that. So it's basically free to equip. It only costs 1. I don't really care. The whole point of this one actually being in there is a first strike, the haste, and it costs 1. This one will probably go away if I can get a wheel at the shop. I need another wheel. I really do. So, Bowman Courier, another one that I can put on the chopping block, but it is a good card. If you get him out turn 1, you're able to build up your deck, and you don't actually have to attack after you build it up. And as long as you keep 1 red open, you're able to do this. So, has haste, and whenever it attacks, exile top card of your library face down. You can't look at it. Okay, so I can't look at it. I don't care. But if I have this out here, and I got 4 cards underneath it, and I have 1 card in my hand and one left over, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this ability. Pay a red, discard your hand, sacrifice Beaumont Courier, pull all cards exiled with Beaumont Courier into their owner's hand. So if I'm able to hit 4 times, at least attack 4 times with it, get 4 cards in there, when I need those 4 cards, I'm sacrificing this thing. I mean, it's gone. I don't care. I need those cards. It only sucks when you don't leave the land open, and then they board wipe, and then you can't do it, and then you lose all those cards. So don't do that. Blister Spit Gremlin. This one was a definite include in this. Pay 1, tap it. Blister Spit Gremlin deals 1 damage to each opponent. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, untap Blister Spit Gremlin. That's a downside. But at the same time, you're going to be casting quite a few spells, so it's not really that big of a downside. It's just a nice way of hitting for 1 point without actually having to attack. And because of Tolbran, it's a red creature. A red card. It says if a red source you control would deal damage. So even if I just do the damage like that, Fanatical Firebrand, hit for 1 point of damage. This one you have to sacrifice, which I don't like, but you do have to sacrifice it. This one, when you attack, it does 1 point of damage. But if you have Tolbran out, it's not 1 point, it's 3 points of damage. So I don't care. If I'm paying 1 and tapping it and just pinging him for 3 points, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Get 2 Lava Runner, pay 1. As long as there are 2 or more instant sorcery cards in your graveyard, get 2 Lava Runner, gets +1/+0 and has haste. It's a 1/2. If you get it on turn 1, put it in, just keep attacking. It's going to die. Who cares? Just keep attacking. It hits for 1. That's the whole purpose. But if you happen to get it later mid-game, it's a 2/2 when it comes in, and it has haste, so you can attack. Goblin Arsonist costs 1. When Goblin Arsonist dies, you may have it deal 1 damage to any target. Turn 1, attack. Well, okay, turn 2, attack. This one makes it, if it's on turn 4, and you get this out, then it's 3 points of damage, 3 points of damage, 3 points of damage. So, and then of course when it dies, it's 3 points of damage to any target. So, it's just an awesome card. That, and I loved it, the fact that this one's foil. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? That is awesome. Yeah, anyways, I like it. Emulation Shaman. This one people don't really, they have to pick it up and read it again after I put it down. 1 in red. Whenever an opponent activates an ability of an artifact, creature, or land that isn't a mana ability, Emulation Shaman deals 1 damage to that player. Now, if they happen to be playing the same card and they do the 3 and 2, they're taking 1 damage to the target, damage to that player, but they're doing emulation damage, gets +3/+3, gains menace until end of turn. So you're able to pump him up, but hopefully your opponent doesn't have this. But basically, it's a good example. If they have anything that says that, it's a good example. Now, the only difference is if it's an ability that's like a Land of War Elves, tap to gain a red or gain a green. So that's not gonna. That's a mana ability. It won't hurt you. But got to have that in this deck. It's another way of hurting. Young Pyromancer, 1 in a red. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, put a 1/1 elemental creature token into the battlefield. And if you get this out early enough, you can get a whole lot of elemental creatures. Chandra's Pyroling, 1 in a red. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, Chandra's Pyroling gets +1/+0 and gains double strike until end of turn. Word of wise for this one is, yes, it gets double strike. You can actually pump it by playing more than 1 card, by paying more than 1 spell. So if you play a spell, a sorcery, and then you play an instant, it gets +2/+0. Okay, it's not bottomed out at +1/+0. You can actually pump it more. So it is misconstrued a lot of times because it says whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, Chandra's Pyroling gets +1/+0 and gains double strike. So if I hit somebody with a lightning strike, and then I hit him with a lightning bolt, that's 2. This gets +2/+0. So it's actually really good. There we go. Burning Prophet, 1 in a red. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Burning Prophet gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Then scry 1. So same as that one, you can do it multiple times. Now the scrying part, okay, you look at the top card. Ooh, I want that. Put it on top. Do it again. It's still the same card. You haven't changed anything. So the scry part doesn't really help you out. Kind of like the other one. What was it? The Menace? Double strike. You only get double strike once. You can't get it twice. Kari Zev, Skyria Ship Raider, 1 in a red. Love this card. This is one of my favorite. I actually was going to build a deck around her. First strike, Menace. Whenever Kari Zev, Skyship Raider attacks, create a legendary 2/1 Red Monkey. Red Monkey. Creature token named Ragavan. That's tapped and attacking. Exile that token at the end of combat. So it's a red token. Ragavan. I love it. Oh. Anyways. And then she's a 1/3. So she has first strike. She has menace. She does not have haste. That's the only downside to her. But yeah, 1/3. Thermo Alchemist, 1 in red. Defender. It says tap. Alchemist deals 1 damage to each opponent whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell. Untap Thermo Alchemist. So this one, just like the other one, you have to cast a spell to untap it, but you can tap it and do another point of damage. And with him out, that's 6 points of damage in 1 turn. It's really not bad. I cannot pronounce this word. Sanguinary Mage. 1 in a red. Wizard Vampire Prowess, and she's a 1/3. So if you get her out on turn 2 and you're hitting with lightning bolts and shocks and all that, then she gains power when she hits. But if she's just sitting on your board not doing anything, she's pretty much just a blocker. Not my favorite card, and probably one of those on the chopping block, just not one of the first ones on the chopping block, probably second wave. Runaway Steam Kin. I like this card. 1 in a red. Whenever you cast a red spell, if Runaway Steam Kin has fewer than 3 +1/+1 counters on it, put a 1/+1 counter on Runaway Steam Kin. Remove 3 +1/+1 counters from Runaway Steam Kin. Add 3. That's a great ability. So, way to pump up and get more creatures out. I got to speed this up a little bit. Dragon Hatchling, because you really need to stop flying creatures. Unfortunately, it's pretty much a one-time thing, so you better hit them for a lot. Electrofield, it deals damage whenever I cast a sorcery or instant. Stormblood Berserker, another one that's going on the chopping block. This one has Blood Rush, so you're able to, Bloodthirst, so you're able to pump him if you have attacked already with this turn and cause damage. Bone Crusher Giant, a must-have, 2 in a red, has Stomp. Damage can't be prevented this turn. Stomp deals 2 damage to any target. This counts as an instant spell, not just as the whole thing, but it counts as an instant spell in the case of the cards that require an instant or sorcery. Then you can cast it for its creature ability if you really need the creature to come out. It's like 2 cards. Gutter Snipe, which instant spell makes this one cause 2 more damage to any creature or player. Right? Oh, just to opponent. Okay. Rampaging Ferocidon, another one that says players can't gain life. Got to have this one. Plus, it says whenever another creature enters battlefield, Rampaging Ferocidon deals 1 damage to that creature's controller. Hurts you 2, but it only hurts you for 1, whereas this would hurt that, and this would hurt your opponent for 3. Dragon's Egg, because you need flyers. If you have to shock your own egg, go ahead and do it. Chandra Spitfire, because you need flyers. This one's a little bit pumpable. Whenever an opponent is dealt non-combat damage, it gets +3/+0 until end of turn. So it's hard to pump it. It's more of an attack, but yeah. Annex, Hardened by the Forge, 1 and 2 red, equal to your devotion 2 red is the power. So whenever a non-token creature you control dies, create a 1/1 red Satyr token. This creature can't block. If that creature has 4 power or greater, create 2 of those tokens instead. So you're able to mass out your board. And of course, if besides the tokens, any other red creatures is going to pump him up. So he's pretty good. He gets pretty big. He can be pretty big. Chandra's Phoenix is a bird you're able to get back to your hand. Has haste. It goes into the graveyard, and of course, whenever an opponent is dealt damage by a red instant sorcery spell you control, by a red planeswalker you control, return Chandra's Phoenix from your graveyard to your hand, so you're able to get it back. Goblin Chain Whirler, because why not? Costs 3, causes 3 damage, causes 1 damage to all your opponents and each creature or planeswalker they control. But with him out on the board, it's 3 points of damage instead of 1. So why would you not have that? Hellrider, 2 and a 2. Devil, haste. Whenever a creature you control attacks, Hellrider deals 1 damage to the defending player. That's a 3/3. So that's great because if you have a whole bunch of creatures out, you're charging in for a lot. Inferno Titan, because why not? 4 and 2 red, is pumpable until end of turn. And then, of course, when he enters the battlefield or attacks, it deals 3 damage divided as you choose between among 1, 2, 3 target players and or creatures. And with him out, that's not just 3, that's 5. So that's awesome. And last but not least, Chandra's Incinerator, 5 and 1. But this one's cool because it's reduced in price for every point of damage you've already done that turn. So if you've done a lightning bolt and a lightning strike, this baby only comes in for 1 red. He's a 6/6. He's got trample. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, Chandra's Incinerator deals that much damage to target creature or planeswalker that player controls. So you hit them with a lightning bolt, which is going to be 5 with this out. It does 5 points to their creature or to their planeswalker. So that's really cool. Enchantments are awesome. They sit out and they just kind of do damage. Circle of Flames does 1 point of damage for every. Whenever a creature without flying attacks me or a planeswalker I control, deals 1 damage to that creature. With him out, it's 3. Valakut Exploration has landfall. This is a way of getting cards to look at. So that's really cool with this deck. You really need to be able to look at your cards. This one's on the chopping block. Ancient Ruins, cost 3, does 1 point of damage for every artifact I control. I'm not going to hold many artifacts. I think there's 3 in this entire deck. Still, it's really, I put it in there because a lot of people still play a lot of mana rocks, and I don't need mana rocks, not like they do. So I'm on the low curve. I'm like literally 1, 2, and 3 is my mana curve. I have a couple of cards that are 4, 5, and 6, but not many. I mean, very little on the 4, 5, and 6 range. Mana Barb. This one will kill you. This one will kill your opponent very fast. Whenever a player taps a land for mana, Mana Barb deals 1 damage to that player. So they have to, let's say they're going to try to get rid of Tolbran. It costs 4. They're going to use an instant that costs 3. That's 9 points of damage that they got to take, because this says they take 1 for every land. This says they take 2 for every red source dealing damage. So they tap 3 lands. That's 9 damage. So yeah, they're going to want to get rid of this one before they get rid of this one. Otherwise, they're going to hurt themselves real fast. Experimental Frenzy. I like it, but this is a mid to late game play. Mid to late game play, because if you have cards in your hand when you play this, you can't play them, and unfortunately it kind of hinders you. So mid to late game, if I get this in my first opening hand, I'm shuffling my hand back in. I don't care how good it is. I don't need a card like this just kind of sitting in my hand. Same as Curse of Bloodletting, which is a great card. Oops. Which is a great card, costs 5, enchant player. If a source would deal damage to that player, it deals double that damage. It deals double that damage to that player instead. So if I'm hitting him for 5, it's actually hitting him for 10. So, but these two, I would rather have this one. I'd rather have any one of these other 3 in my hand on the first opening go than these 2. This is mid to late game, and this one's just too expensive. So there's certain things I don't want in my first hand. They can come in, I can draw them, that's fine. But my first 7, I don't want to see either one of those 2. In the instant pile, I got Thrill of Possibilities. Able to draw a card or discard a card to draw 2 cards. Excuse me. Talking too fast. Mouth got dry. Lightning Strike. Let's check out that foil. Lightning Strike does 3 damage to target creature. Magma Jet. Cost 2, does 2 damage, but I get to scry 2. Searing Blood. Cost 2, does 2 damage, but this one, if the creature dies this turn, it does 3 damage to the creature's controller. Spikefield Hazard. Yes, it is a Moto card. Comes in tapped if I need it. I haven't needed it yet. But it does 1 point of damage, which is actually 3 point of damage if I have Tolbran now. And if a permanent dealt damage this way would die, exiled instead. So that's awesome. Burst Lightning, because I'm not going into a battle without Burst Lightning. Has a kicker of 4, does 2 damage for 1, which sucks. But if Lightning was kicked, it deals 4 damage to that creature or player instead. So you're able to do 2 for the price of 1. Okay. It does 4 for the price of 5, which is worse, but it goes from first turn to 5th turn. So you're able to do it. And of course, if he's out, it's 6 or it's 3. I'm sorry, 4. So it's better. Risk factor, I kind of put this one in there just because I like the ability to draw cards. Most opponents, when they see this, especially with this out in play, do 4 damage. Well, this is 6 damage. So you either give me 3 cards or you're taking 6 points of damage. I've only met one other opponent that would take the 6 points of damage. I know we're in a game of 40 life, but midway through, you're looking at that your life go fast, and I'm just going to keep on taking it. Incinerate does 3 to target creature or player. No creature deal damage can by Incinerate can regenerate this turn. It costs 2 for 3. Not bad. Could be better. Comet Storm. This is one of my favorite ones. X and 2. Multi-kicker of 1. So you can pay 4 into this and just do the 2. So total of 6. So you're choosing any target, then choose another target for each time the spell was kicked. Well, if you didn't kick it, you're just doing 4 damage, to each Comet to 1 creature. But if you pay 4 and 2, and then let's say you pay 2 more, now you can hit both of them for 4 damage. I'm sorry, for 1 more. Or you can you get, for each time you pay it, the multi-kicker, you get an extra 1. So if you pay 2, you're getting 3. Pay 3, you're getting 4. So this one is not included in that price. This is a totally separate price. So I like this card. It's actually one of my favorites. Starstorm is another great one, but this one will hurt you. Where this one is more refined and can nail certain creatures. Like let's say they have 4/4/4 angels. You can hit all 4/4 angels with 4, and it'll cost you 4 and 2, so total is 6 here, and it'll cost you 3 down here. So yes, it's a lot, but you're able to specifically hit those creatures. Here's reality. You only have to pay 2 into this if you're getting 2 extra. So you just have to think about this one a little bit more than normal. Starstorm does X damage to each creature that includes yours. Great ability to cycle to draw a card. You just have to discard it. But you have to be careful with this one. Read your cards carefully. And of course, look at you don't want this one to leave the battlefield. So I've done this one for 3 points of damage because it'll hit all my creatures for 3. I'm going to lose a couple of my 1/1s, 2/2s. But it's hitting all of theirs with this out. It's hitting all of their creatures for 5. So it's really, you got to be careful with it. Abrade, cost 2. You get a choice with this one, which is awesome. For 2, you either do 3 points of damage or you destroy a target artifact. So if they not in the games, we don't play with mana crypts on our competitions, or at least this competition. But if somebody has a mana crypt, I hate mana crypt. That's the first one, the first artifact I want gone. Shock, 1 for 2. Lightning Bolt, 1 for 3. Yeah, you notice it's a 4th edition. For 3, you get 4. Flame Spell. But the cool thing about this one is damage done to target creature. Excess damage is done to the creature's controller instead. So if you're hitting them for 4, that creature, but it's only a 2/2, the other 2 goes to the owner. Now, with that said, you're hitting the creature for 2. You're hitting the owner for 2. This actually does 2 more to the creature, and then 2. Actually, how's that one work out? I might stand corrected. Excess damage. Yeah, excess damage. So, excuse me. It's a total of 6 going to the creature, and then the 4 would go up to the opponent. So it's not hitting them twice. Just 2 to that creature, then 4 would go to your opponent. So I do stand corrected. I just spoke too fast. Last but not least, sorceries. Wow, this is a long video. I apologize. Vandal Blast. Destroy a target artifact you don't control. Has overload for 5. You don't have to pay the extra. It's just overload for 5. And you destroy all of their artifacts. And this is great for people that are playing with mana rocks. I'm getting rid of all of them. I mean, not mine, but all of theirs. Maxium Mortars. Cost 2. Does 4 damage to target creature you don't control. But if I do the overload cost, which is 6, I can do 4 to all their creatures. So that's awesome. Not my creatures, their creatures. Lava Coil, 1 and 4. I'm sorry, 1 in red. Does 4 damage to target creature. If that creature would die this turn, exile it instead. Light Up the Stage. I love this one. Light up the stage in foil. In showcase. Spectacle of 1, but it costs 2 and 1. And Spectacle of 1, basically, if you've done damage to your opponent, hit him with a lightning strike, you can pay 1 to cast this card. And then exile top 2 cards of your library until end of turn, until end of your next turn. You may play those cards. So your next turn. So their turn, you can still play them. Your next turn, until the end of that turn, you can play them. People forget what Spectacle is, so I always have to remind them. This is a very fun card to use because it's like hanging a dagger over their head, especially if you get a good card, because they can see the cards and you can play them. So, and it says until end of your next turn, you may play those cards. So if you got 2 red cards or 2 mountains out, you can put 1 in play if you haven't put a land in play, and then your next turn you can put another one in play. But if let's say you have a lightning strike and a lightning bolt come out, you now have 2 daggers that you can hang over their head, and until your end of your turn, they know they're going to take at least 6. If this guy's out, they're going to take an extra 4 on top of it. So that's 10 points of damage right there. So maybe you can't play them now, but your next turn you can. So there you go. Rift Bolt. This one's fun. Sorcery. It's another little dagger. It does 3 points of damage to target creature, but it has suspend for 1. So turn 1, cast this. The next turn, they're getting hit for 3 points of damage. I mean, it's awesome. Just a little dagger hanging over their heads. And last but not least, Collective Defiance. I love this card. 1 and 2 red. Has a kicker. Choose 1 or more. Escalate. Choose 1 or more. If you only pay that, you only get to choose 1. If you pay extra into it, then you can put one of the other 2. Sorry. So the first one is target player discards all cards in his or her hand and draws that many cards. Okay. If I'm holding a bunch of land, I'm going to do that one. But if most of the time I've used this one, it's only the bottom two. Collected Defiance deals 4 damage to target creature. Bam, that guy's gone. Collected Defiance deals 3 damage to target opponent. So I'm doing 7 points of damage for 4, even though it says 3 here, it's actually going to be 4. But if I have this out, because this is hitting 2 different targets, Collected Defiance deals 4 damage to target creature. That says if a red source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage plus 2 instead. Because you're escalating it, it's 2 different spells. And you're hitting them for the creature for 6, and you're hitting their opponent for 5. Now, if you get a judge that disagrees with you and they don't want to look it up right then and there, then fine. Pick the 5 for the opponent. You don't have to pick the 5, the other 2 to go to the creature. Pick the other 2 to go to the opponent. So always. This deck is built around going fast. It could be faster. It's built around doing a lot of damage fast. And that's really what you want to do. You don't want to play games with this deck. You want people to feel your pain on turn 1. So optimally, you want to be throwing down cards turn 1, turn 2, and get a board state. So by turn 4, you're putting out Tolbran. Yes, there will be those times where, unfortunately, you don't or can't put Tolbran down. Now, when you play best of 3, Tolbran on the first go-around is going to come out pretty quick. Expect that. Do that. Bring it out. Turn 4, bring them out. They're really not going to expect, people don't expect this thing to do as much damage unless they've played against it before. If they've played against it before, then Tolbran will be, killed pretty quick. But if they've never played against a deck like this, then game 1, you have it. You're going to win because you're going to be able to put so much damage in the next few turns that they're not even going to realize what's going on. And if you get out mana barbs pretty fast, mana barbs, they kill themselves.